What do I do with my glasses? Jaylon, can you grab my glasses for now? Can you grab my glasses, please? My daughter is coming in. It's going to be fun. Has anybody ever been in here when my daughter has been in here?
No.
Yeah, you have. Constantly talking. And
Where are your glasses?
they should be right in the middle counter. But anyway, thank you very, very much for being here. This is, as you can tell, we're all fired up tonight. We're having a good time. We always like to have a good time when we're here. And the most important thing, though, is that we get everything done within 30 minutes, okay? Because we value your time here. We try to start on time. We try to get everything done. That is a couple of minutes fast. So we did finish on time, and we always start within that time frame. The reason being is because you guys have things to do. You know, like you said, you know, oh yeah, that's not nice, okay? You know, but there are people, you know, that come to the class, and our hope is that when you're here, that you learn some information that you can either share or use for yourself. Hey, Roger. Honey, can you just get this back there? And you know, in understanding, when you sit here, keep your minds open. You know, you might agree with some stuff, you might not agree with some of the things. We're not here to have an argument, or you know, we're just here to open up your minds to the possibilities of what's going on. You know, and in doing that, in every passage of our life, you know, we can learn something if we have an open mind. There are people that go in and they sit and they're like, no, I don't want to learn. I had somebody come in today. I'll give you an example. The gentleman has had a kidney transplant and has been seeing me for about a year, and he's done very, very well. And his son is in Wisconsin, and he goes to me, I wish my son would go. I go, well, I know some doctors in Wisconsin, and you know, if you ever need somebody out of the state or something, let me know, because I used to be the state society president. I used to be the representative for the ICA for the state, so I know a lot of people outside of the state. And if I don't know somebody, I know somebody that knows somebody. That's good. Okay? And he goes, I wish my son would go. I wish my son would go. And he talked to him. He went to the medical doctor, and what does a medical doctor usually do when you have back pain? Medicine. Yeah, he gave him medicine. And he turned around, he goes, oh, I don't believe in that cult stuff. I'm not going to go to a chiropractor. And I go, that's really open-minded, right? You hear these things, you know, about you know, people saying, oh, you have to go for the rest of your life, or things of that nature. And I say to myself, well, you know what? If you want to be healthy, your choices are yours. You can decide to go for the rest of your life to do something, or choose not to. Okay, it's just like choosing to brush your teeth or not, or choosing. I mean, you have choices. So that ultimately, in being here, we want you to make those choices, but make them intelligently. So you have the information, so you know why things are going on the way they are. Having said that, tonight we're going to be talking about time, frequency, and intensity. Time, frequency, and intensity are basically laws of life. You know, you can't time, frequency, and intensity. You can't change something without committing those three things. You can't lay down the foundation for something without committing some time to doing it and putting some framework and frequency into it and training it, and then maintaining it and keeping it some sort of vigil on it and keeping some intensity on it and being involved. You know, last night I was talking about this with someone earlier today. Last night I was watching The Biggest Loser. I never watched that show. But Julie, my wife, happened to be watching it. And you know, it was amazing to see how much how much weight these people have lost. But they're sequestered in a farm or some, you know, in a place where that's all they do. That's all they do. Okay, and you know, and then last night was after 2 weeks of going home, if they could continue to lose the weight. But I thought about it, and one gentleman lost, I think, about 120 pounds in 10 weeks. Okay, that's in 10 weeks. Okay, that's not healthy. Okay, because how many times have you gone on a diet or done something and it just goes up and down? You know, you have to train yourself, because when you leave there, you have to understand what it is that you need to do. Now, the good thing about it is they are laying a foundation of, in the mind, changing things and what happens to be done, because it takes anywhere. The studies show that in order to change a habit, how long do you have to do something different? It's actually a little longer. Yeah, it's close to 21 or 30 days, somewhere in that. They're finding 21 days now, but there are some studies that show 14 days. But you need to do something consistently and persistently, and that's the frequency. So they are teaching them good habits, but are they gonna follow through with it is important. And if you really want to be great at something, you have to have the humility enough to say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to step back, be vulnerable, open up and say, what can I do to change? Okay, because how many of us, especially as guys, don't do that? No, I'm going to get through this. Oh, I'll be fine in a few days. You know, I mean, and you know, someone said to me today, I was talking, it's funny because I take from the day of what's going on, and the woman, we were talking about not having egos in this office, because there are preferences to people getting adjusted by different doctors, things of that nature. But ultimately, whomever is adjusting you is following a path to get you to where we need you to be as health-wise, and help you to get to that point. And then the woman turns around, she goes, "You work with all women. Women have big egos." I was like, "Really?" You know, so I was like, I always see it from my end, but I never heard that from a woman. So it was interesting. But you do, sometimes you gotta, you know, you have to step aside and look at these things and say, okay, I need to change the way I'm doing things. As a DC, or a doctor of chiropractic, we are trained to bring about health. We are not trained to treat illness or sickness or disease. We don't look at signs or symptoms of a body, although we listen to them, because you have to be aware of what's going on as people are changing and things of that nature. We are trained in how to make sure people can stay well and continually improve upon that. Because think about it, when you impart a force into something, there's an intelligence that we have in our body that takes that force, okay, and then imparts it into the matter of our body, and we exhibit that information to people. Okay, if that force was never put into your body, would you ever really exhibit or exude that information? You wouldn't. You know, it's like taking the information from a library and actually using it and reading it. You know, because what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Does anybody know? What is knowledge?
Power.
Yeah, well, power. Okay, that's what they say in the movies. Okay, knowledge is knowing something.
Knowing something, yeah.
It is knowing something, reading the stuff. Wisdom is actually knowing how to use that knowledge.
Just teaching it.
Okay, and actually making sure that you are using it ethically and morally. Okay, so those are big things that we look at as chiropractors, because, you know, people in the 50s, maybe even before the 50s, maybe in the 40s or so, dentists, who went to the dentist in the 30s and 40s on a consistent basis?
Don't know.
Not a lot of people. Not a lot of people. I mean, if you look at the older, it wasn't something that was common. It wasn't something that was common, but what they found after looking at a lot of studies and things of that nature, that the health of your teeth was an important aspect or guide to how healthy you were, because it showed how you ate, it showed how you did things. So they started addressing those things, and then the dentists understood that, oh wow, you know, people need to be taking care of their teeth. And when people used to go into the dentist, and people still do it this way, why did they go in? Because it hurt, right? What do we do now?
Take care of them.
You maintain, you go in, you get cleaned, you get checked. There's not always something to do, okay? So there's a key to that, because now my daughter is, she has braces. Okay, she had them a year and a half ago, we got them, or somewhere around that range. She's actually progressing faster than a lot of people do, because the average time is about 2 years, and that's what they estimate. And she's probably going to get her braces off in like June, because she did everything that they asked to do. So let me ask you a question. If you went in and you had braces and they hurt, would you say, I don't like this, take them off? No. Why not?
Let's start over.
You'd have to start over again. That's, and the thing is, ultimately, you have to change the ligaments in the muscle structure. So if we look at it from, from the standpoint of anything that is excellent, anything that we want to improve upon our health, or even if, like, say, name a band. I know you like rock music. Name a band.
Zeppelin.
Say it again?
Zeppelin.
Zeppelin. Okay. So if Zeppelin didn't practice, and they sounded like crap, and sometimes they did on stage when they were live. But
That's because of medication.
if that's because of medication, that's right. Okay, because they were okay. But the thing is, but you wouldn't pay the price for those tickets to go see a band that hasn't practiced, hasn't done their sound check, hasn't played the music again and again and again. How many times do you think they played Stairway to Heaven? Thousands. I mean, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. How many times? I mean, that's music. That's music. You have to practice. Okay. Name something else that someone likes to do here or go see.
Rodeos.
Rodeo. Okay, that's a big one. Okay. Because those guys all need chiropractors. Even the clowns need chiropractors. Okay, but those rodeo riders, I mean, have you ever gotten on a mechanical bull? It's not easy. And those guys are riding live animals, and they're doing it again and again. How many times do you think those guys have fallen off those things?
Every time.
Yeah, every time, okay? And then they get back up and they get back on it again, okay? But to learn how to do it for the 8 seconds to hold on, or the roping, or anything, you wouldn't pay to go see somebody who can't do it. I mean, you'd laugh, unless it's supposed to be a laughter type thing, a comedy thing. So ultimately, when it comes down to it, as patients, if we want the freedoms in our lives to do things, there has to be some sort of discipline. And that discipline comes from your choices of how you're going to approach things. Okay. The first thing is you have to put in your mind that there's a time commitment. There's an understanding that I have to commit a certain amount of time at least to start changing it. Okay? And then after that, you look to see where you're going, because you're given one spine. When you have your teeth start to rot, you can go get implants. You can go get stuff done. Okay? You can't do that with your spine, can you? No. You're given one in your whole lifetime. What's that?
You get a lot of hardware put in there.
You can get hardware put in there, but it's not flexible, and it doesn't move. Okay, it can hold it still, and that'll cause more. And that's another class that we do about the joint degenerative process that we talked about a little bit. I think you were there at that class. Were you there at that class? Maybe. But we do a class on that talks about that. Yeah, you can have hardware put
We
in.
have a friend that's
Yeah. I take care. I go to a quadriplegic's house. He was on a snowmobile. He's my age, so he's 48, and this happened maybe 20 years ago. And he ran into a bridge embankment, and he crushed and severed C4 through C7, so it's fused, and he has hardware in there. I go there to adjust him. Why do you think I go adjust a gentleman that's a quadriplegic?
quality of life.
Absolutely. Okay? And I go every week to check him. I don't always adjust him, okay, but I go to check him. And he understands quality of life. Because for him, his quality of life is being able to just get his hand to his mouth to eat, And the thing is, when he doesn't get adjusted, he can't. Don't wait till that point. Don't wait till something is so bad that you can't commit the time to take care of it. And it's amazing because a lot of people walk around like this. Is this a good posture? When you see somebody that's walking like that, what do you think?
Something wrong.
Oh my God, something's wrong. My daughter's. All right. Because why? Because a sick posture is sick health. You don't usually see someone sitting like this unless there's something wrong, or there's mentally you can't. It doesn't happen. Okay? And those things, those things are very, very important, in addressing, because, people like that usually play small. They don't think about the big picture. They don't think about, being able to, I'm 48, my daughter's only 13, my other daughter's going to be 11 this year, being able to run around with your kids and do stuff with your kids, okay? Quality of life, but then when you become grandparents, you start saying, oh, I want to bend down and pick up my kids and, and do these things. Well, if you're hurting, it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And the healing process takes time. And in one of the other classes, in the joint degradation, joint repair and biomechanics class, we talk about how when a joint decays and there's an injury to a joint, okay, the study shows that there's an inflammatory stage, which is 3 days. Then it takes 6 weeks to start to get out of the pain and begin the repair process, and to actually change the ligaments and get them back to normal. It takes at least a year just to start. And depending on what you do for a living, and depending on what you're consistently doing to your body, guess what? You got to take care of it. You have to address it. So that's the time. So if you've cumulatively over time added micro traumas, small traumas, and said, oh yeah, I'm gonna just go to the doctor and get a medication, and a few days later you feel better, but that trauma is still there, it's gonna build. So that's the commitment of time. Because how long did it take to get to where you are now?
Whole lifetime.
Yeah? Your lifetime of choices, your lifetime of habits, your lifetime of things. Everything you've done has added up to that point. And you know what? It can be changed. It can be changed, but it's up to you to do it. And that's the time commitment. And then you have to put frequency into it. And it's how often you do it. Because think about it, on a daily basis, should we be get up and being mobile, or should we be all sitting? Mobile. So you have to do something just to get moving. Okay? Not only do you have to get adjusted, you got to play big. You have to get up and do something. I've had 3 knee surgeries. The other day I ran 5 miles on the treadmill, and I ran with, I don't know if anybody knows 5 fingers. They're flat shoes. They're the funny shoes that I wear with the toes. And I ran with them. And my knees are killing me because I'm not used to running with those particular shoes. I've had 3 knee surgeries, but it was on a treadmill, so my knees are recovering very, very nicely. But I've changed over the years. I've changed my running technique. How hard is it to change muscle memory?
Very.
It is really hard to change muscle memory. Because if you've had something there, and if you run a certain way, or if you've taught yourself something a certain way, okay, you can't change it. So you have to do frequency. You have to do it again and again and again with purpose and with intent. Okay, because I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, I'm on the treadmill every day." Right? I'm on the treadmill every day. And you know what? You have to start slow. You have to do this stuff. But they're like reading their magazine. They're talking to their friends. They're doing stuff. That's okay when you start, but are you really challenging your body to get to that next level? Are you really challenging? And that's what the show The Biggest Loser is about, because they really challenge these people to do things that to the point of, and I'm not saying do that, but they're playing large. They're trying to. Hopefully they'll keep those things going. But you have to decide, there's frequency there. How long, some of you might have heard me say this. Can you pick that up for me? Thanks, can you pick that up? This is child labor. This is why I had children. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, yes, I appreciate that. So if you want to perfect something, or if you want to work on being able to change something, how much committed time do you have to do it? How many hours of time do you think you have to commit to doing it, to work on perfecting it?
4 or 5 hours maybe.
No, not even close.
Really, really, really long.
Yes,
What she said.
10,000 hours.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I was actually gonna guess.
10,000 hours. This comes from studies that they've.
Said that another thing on the workshop.
Yeah, I had said it at one of the other, I use that example, but it's important because people, people look at it and they say, they say, wow, 10,000 hours. But it has to be something that's done, committed every day. The musicians that you see, okay, the rodeo riders, the people that play sports, how many hours do you think they've put in?
You know, a good example of that is that young girl that won the 3 medals at the last Olympics last year. She is now going into training, 8 hours a day for the 2016.
It's for 2016.
Yeah, 3.5 years ahead.
3.5 years ahead. Think about that. And I'll tell you from personal experience, because 4 years ago now I started running triathlons, okay? And every year I've had to change, and Ron and I have had discussion about how good running triathlons are, for your health and things of that nature. And there is a balance that you have to come to. Okay, but every year my techniques for stuff have changed, and they're still changing. Little things, because when you first start something, when do you get the most changes?
Yeah.
When you first start, and then when you want the gradual improvement, like I had a young gymnast come in the other day, we were talking about the gradual little differences between first and second place, like 1/10 of a point. Like if you ever watch the luge in the Winter Olympics, or the bobsleds, it's like 1,000th of a point difference between the winner and the loser. Or the first loser, as some people like to say. So the thing is, it takes that much training, okay, and dedication to it. But that's playing big. That's playing big. So you can't change that. You can't say, okay, well, I'm not going to commit the time. I'm not going to do this frequently, because guess what? You're not going to be good at it. Okay, I do not run fast. I do not. I trudge along, but I'm going to be doing a half Ironman distance this year. Okay, that consists of 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike, and a 13-mile run. Okay, and I was like, what, 4 years ago I wouldn't even thought. I was like, I did sprint distance, which is a 1/4 mile swim, 15-mile bike, and a 3-mile run. And I was like, there is no way I'm going to do it, but I did it. And I was like, wow, this is great. But I changed the way I do things. But I had to find ways that my body would adapt. So when you're healing, and when you first walk in here and you sign that slip, that's when your adjustment begins. Why do I say that?
Made a commitment.
You made a commitment to be here, but you need to be able to lie down on that table, get the gravity off your spine, relax. But the minute you walk in the door is when the healing begins. It doesn't happen when you come back here. It's the mindset. You come in through that door, you've made that commitment to be here, and the women greeting you at the door, okay, are phenomenal. I cannot tell you how lucky I am to have the women that I work with. Okay, these women, these women are godsend, and I'll fight with you tooth and nail if you say otherwise. Okay, but I'll tell you that's when your healing begins. The minute you walk in that door and decide I'm going to play big and I'm going to commit the time and the frequency, the intensity is up to you. You need to do stuff that is going to put you at that upper 10th or 5th percentile. Being here in this class puts you above and beyond a lot of the people, because you guys are making the attempt to learn how to take care of it. Because if you miss an appointment, that continuity and rhythmicity gets gets put back. It changes. There's a continuity, a rhythmicity to your healing pattern. One missed appointment can make a difference. It's like taking the braces off too soon. You know? And people are like, oh, I have an appointment on Wednesday. It's important. You have to make it up because, you know what, we're working to progressively create more and more health in your body. And the question is, does it ever stop? The choice is how far you want to go with it, how intense you want to get in it, get with it. So when you come in and you get a handout, take a look at it, read it, ask questions, be involved in what's going on here. We'll give you some exercises and homework or so to do at home. You know, we go through the re-exams. A lot of people ask me why we do the re-exams. Let me ask you, why do you think we do the re-exams?
Check our progress.
Check the progress. Yeah, I mean, our body's pretty resilient, yes? I mean, you think about the things that we do to our bodies, it's pretty resilient, okay? I mean, it's amazing now. I see these guys and I question sometimes if they're taking something, but, you know, I do. I mean, I see, but is it the advancements in technology? Maybe. You know, but I see these guys have, you know, ACL tears in their knees. You know, years ago, that was a death sentence to any athlete. Now these guys are coming back after 12 months and playing just like they did before they left. Okay? It's amazing what you can accomplish if you set your mind to doing it. But understand that the degenerative process that's going on in there has been going on in there for years. And we have to stop it first and then make sure it goes on to the thing. Because our bodies are resilient. We abuse them, you know, a lot. Okay? I mean, and I don't know if any of you have heard about my story, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. When I was about 13, my father was, I was first generation born here. My father didn't want me to play American football, okay? He wanted me to play European football, soccer, okay? But I was playing, that's when I first injured my knee, playing soccer, not football, which is kind of weird, because you're thinking football, I would already. But I would play, so he didn't want me to play, so when I was 13 or 14 years old, I played Pop Warner, you know, weight division stuff, and I got recruited to play in a high school, several high schools in the area were recruiting me, and back then they would give you an address in the area and just say your uncle lives there type of thing, because they were public schools in New York. But I had an injury when I was playing football, and I got jammed in the neck. I used to play fullback. I got hit by 3 guys, and it jammed in my neck. My arm just swelled up, and I couldn't swallow for like 3 or 4 days. My parents were like, "Hey, it ain't broke, don't fix it." I mean, you know, type of mentality. And you know, next week I was out playing again. You know, fortunately, nothing more adverse happened to me for the rest of the season. But you know, for 3 days it was all fluids. That's all I was eating. But from that day, I had headaches. I was very sick as a child before that. I had asthma, allergies. So there was a lot of underlying things going on. I was already taking 4 medications for asthma and allergies, which I took up until I was 25. And from that day, I had headaches every day I woke up. What was the common thing to do for a headache? Yeah, take an aspirin or take some. And my parents, first generation born here, they're like, oh yeah, here, take something. So I did from the age of 13 to when I got into college. When I was a mechanical engineering major in college, I would just take something every morning. I woke up with a headache, so I was like, here, let me just pop something. You know, I'm not thinking twice about it. But the headaches progressively got worse and worse and worse. And when I was 20, I met a girl whose father was a chiropractor. And he adjusted me. He has his own technique that he created called neurological organization technique. And I woke up the next morning, in 2 months, I didn't have a headache. I was like, wow, this is cool. Now, being an athletic person, I was always relating back to the biomechanics, you know, of the body. I was like, this is something that will be cool to do. And I continued to try to finish my mechanical engineering degree, but I got so sick that I had 2 spinal taps. I was on 6 medications for my migraines and 4 medications still for my asthma and allergies. By the age of 25, I was taking 10 medications. Is that normal?
No.
No. Do you know what the norm is for people my age though nowadays? 5 medications on average. 5 prescription drugs on average. At 25, I decided, and fortunately, I was dating my wife and we had just got married, and I said, I really want to be a chiropractor. She goes, let's go for it. And God bless my wife too, because she put up with me through school, and we were married, and people were like, I don't know how you did it, and all this stuff. But I stopped. I went to a couple of chiropractors before, but between the age of 20 and 25, I was the stubborn, pig-headed man. I was like, that's okay, I'm gonna be all right.
Still love.
But you know what? I still am. But at 25, I went to a chiropractor. I finally sat down and I listened. And I was like, this makes so much sense. I went home, I took all my medications and I threw them away. I don't tell anybody to do that. It's a choice that you make. My family freaked out because I was an asthma and allergy sufferer. And the migraines, I was already on the medication. I was like, you know what? It was hard for me. It was hard, but I decided at that moment to change. And I committed my life to changing, and I started doing the things that were necessary to get healthier. Within a year, I had no more migraines. And I was going 3 times a week for a whole year, okay, because I was doing mechanical stuff. This guy, I have a healed compression fracture at C3 that no one ever picked up from the injury I had. Okay, and the thing was, the structure of my neck has come back towards a normal curvature, but the bone I can't change. It's the time that I committed, and you know what? Over the last 23 years now, I have changed the way I eat, the way I work out, it's a constant process of learning how to do those things. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to do it, but you can choose now to do that. And sometimes you have your friends, you have the people around you who say, oh, I'm not going to get involved with that cult, like I was talking about earlier. Okay, don't harp on them, but just say, hey, look at what's going on. I've changed the way I am. I have a person today tell me, she goes, I only had 1 cold for 2 days this year. She goes, I used to get colds all the time. It changes the way you look at things. Let people know. Let people know what it's doing for you. I know, thank you guys, I can't thank you enough for the people you sent me and the dedication that you guys have and driving from where you drive from. It makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. Invite them to get checked. Invite them to a class. Invite them, if you want to, I'll call them. That's up to you guys. But really, seriously, you cannot change anything without committing the time, putting the frequency and the intensity of the work into it. Every job that everyone here has ever had has had some time commitment, some frequency commitment, and some sort of intensity. Okay? And it always depends on how hard you want to work at it and how you want to do it. Please, help me, help you guys. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.